You guys, welcome to another episode of Soft Rebellion. My name is Indatu, and thank you so much for joining me. Now, I know I've been away for a very long time. It's probably been over a month since I recorded an episode, but I've got a good reason. I lost my phone over a month ago, actually. I've claimed with insurance, but the war in the Middle East is really affecting supply, so they don't have any stock of new devices. I'm waiting mid-month to see if they get anything, and then hopefully I can get a new device and everything is gonna be back to normal. In the meantime, I'm using a temporary device, also using my laptop. It's been administratively a nightmare because it's just not as convenient. The quality is not great, but you guys will bear with me. I feel like I've been isolated in my cocoon for so long, which I've actually quite enjoyed. I've enjoyed being off social media and having my thoughts to myself. I remember at some point talking about how our thoughts don't even belong to us anymore because they influenced by some algorithm that maybe we're most attracted to because of our preferences, and I was just so tired of that. This time I actually used it to take back my time, and take back my thoughts to myself, and it's actually been very great. Although there have been people who were quite concerned, my friends. I think I just disappeared off the face of the earth with no, like, anyalezanga type of situation. I didn't announce or warn anyone. But yeah, it did me really, really good. Also, in the time that I've been away, I met someone. It's also very strange to say, right? Because there's so many complications. Yeah, I don't know what to call it, but like non-linear facts or complications around my meeting this person that I don't know what the future looks like, but there's also just something so profound in the way that we met and the way things have since taken shape. To give you a background, I can't say where we met because he's afraid it's gonna give him away, which is very silly because that's not even possible, And I did get permission to record this episode and share whatever I feel comfortable sharing, but I have to leave out personal facts about him, and I'm gonna respect that. But guys, when I tell you this is the closest I've ever gotten to meeting someone who is exactly what I want, like exactly what I want. And there were times where I thought about settling because someone was close enough, on paper they were actually perfect, even though something in my soul never quite agreed. There would be a discomfort or an uncertainty that I couldn't explain. But there was none of that here. I think, obviously a person can't be perfect. I do see that he is perfect in every sense of the word that matters for me or to me, right? Although he's also got flaws, undeniably. I don't think any person is without flaws, right? As am I as well. But he's really just amazing in every sense of the word or in ways that matter. And like making that realization always takes me back to moments where I wanted to settle because someone came close enough, And yeah, I'm almost mad at myself that I would have denied myself this experience, getting to experience someone showing up for me in the most selfless ways that I've ever experienced. Right now, if I can just give you context, the time is 25 minutes past 8 in the evening. I'm sitting in my house, in my living room, with candles all lit, candles lighting the room. And there's this heater that's warming me up. It's quite cold in Joburg. It's been for a couple of days. Today is getting better, but I am still feeling cold. I've been out for a while. And I've got this gas heater that's in front of me. It's attached to my gas heater. So the one that I'm using is not my own. And the story about that is I bought a gas heater, DeLonghi. I don't know how to pronounce the brand, but it's a DeLonghi brand because it looks really cute and matches my aesthetic in the house. There could have been other brands I would have bought, which are much cheaper, and I suppose they would have been functional. But my heater doesn't work. And I was so frustrated because, the story around the heater also involves him, right? Because I was so excited when it arrived. It looked gorgeous. It's stunning. But I have no idea how gas things work, like a gas cylinder and stuff. We're supposed to go get that together. He got it for me. He was leaving work and he was like, oh, it's fine. I'll just go get it. He got it. And he got me like the nicest gas heater. Guys, I didn't ask this man to get the gas heater. He got it with his own money, which made me very happy because also I'm just a girl and I don't have money. Like, I earn peanuts. But it was the admin behind him taking care of that, which was just incredible, And I was like, man, I remember just saying thank you, and I wished I could describe the gratitude I felt at the time, but I didn't have the words for it, And there was so much panic around this heater because I spent a lot of money on it. And I'm like, oh, I've already missed the window to return and whatnot. Today, actually, they confirmed that they're going to send me a new one and crisis averted. So there really was no need for me to even stress about it. But when I called him, telling him that my heater wasn't working, it just wouldn't start, he walked me through it about what to do. And now I'm a very smart girly. I know how things work. But for some reason, I was just so frustrated and I called him. Okay, he could hear the distress. He was like, it's okay, I'm coming. During work hours, mind you. He's like, I'm coming. He came, he was testing out the heater and it wasn't igniting. The fire wasn't igniting. He brought his own heater for me to use in the meantime. So now, because it was just administratively texting, I was like, it's fine, you can just leave the gas cylinder attached to mine. But then we can just connect his heater to the gas. It's a mess. So the two heaters are side by side. But it touches me every time I walk into my living room and I see this messy heater situation because it's one of the ways he demonstrated his care effortlessly without me having to ask, and that's just one of many examples in which he made sacrifices about whatever he was busy with at work, to be there for me, and it's not throwing money at a problem, which is something I've experienced in the past. If you're on TikTok, you would have known about grocery store guy who would just want to solve my problem by throwing money at them. You'd be like, oh, what's wrong? Send me your account details type situation. And I was like, I want you here. I want you present with me. And this guy really gets stressed by my own problems, even when I don't think they're worth stressing about, by the way. But he takes them on as his own. And I can't find a better description of a partner than that, where someone is so present and they're so involved. It's really amazing to me, And I know to someone else it might not even seem like a big deal because their values are different. He was saying to me that I wonder if others would see him the way I see him. But I think the way I see him is attached to my value system and what I value most in a relationship context. And obviously the fact that he's present physically, emotionally, and otherwise is such a no-brainer for me because that's why actually I wanted someone close to me in age. And someone who works an honest job. It's honestly one of my favorite things that he's got a, like, a typical corporate job, doesn't make crazy loads of money, So we more or less on a similar income bracket, I'd say. But I know there's certain friends of mine who would have a preference for someone who can actually be a provider, and someone who earns significantly more and shows up in a different way. I don't necessarily aspire to that. I aspire to having an everyday life with someone, and it's demonstrated that so beautifully in these last couple of weeks. So I think about the time when people would just listen to my problems without showing much concern for them, even trying to partner in figuring out solutions to those problems. And I mean, this guy already jumped on that. It probably wasn't even a week that he got me their gas, right? And by then, like, there was no talk of relationships. It was just us getting to know each other, being curious about one another, asking questions, and like, yeah, already he was so involved, like without an invitation, and it didn't feel love bombing. I've spoken about love bombing here before, and I've been in a love bombing situation as well in a previous relationship. It didn't feel like that, So yeah, I think about the times I would have settled for something less than this, and I almost want to kick myself, because how dare I not know that I deserved better, or even entertain the idea of getting less than what I deserve, But this is a segue into the question I really wanted to ask. When you eventually find the person you're looking for, the job you're looking for, the thing that you really want, will you be ready for it? Will you be prepared to deal with that, like to meet the demands that the person you want requires, the thing, the job you want, whatever it is requires? Because yes, him showing up in a particular way is very cute, but there's certain discomforts that I've experienced in the process of someone being so present and showing up so fully that I wasn't prepared for, and it's made me feel so ill-equipped to be in a relationship. And maybe it's because I've been single for so long, but it's almost like him showing up and being present in the way that he's done has held up a mirror to highlight, if not heighten, some of the insecurities I have, some of the past hurts that haven't completely healed. Now, you guys know I'm a very confident girly, I'm very sure of myself. I've done the internal work, I'm constantly working on myself, okay? If there's a shortcoming somewhere, I will spot it and I'll want to address it, work at it or understand it and figure it out. Hold on. But it's almost seemed like that process has been accelerated so much that I got so overwhelmed by everything I'm not getting right. There was one day where I was just like, yeah, okay, I'm done. Like, what is this, But it's just, yeah, as much as it's been really, really incredible to experience someone like that, it's also been very uncomfortable to be on the receiving end of that. There's times where I feel like he's gonna run away, or this is gonna fall apart, or whatever. And maybe, there's other factors at play, but I also know a part of me feeling that way is because I see how patient he is, and how at every side of conflict, his initial response is never to run away or, blame me or spew insults. It's always a willingness to listen, to understand, and to be here, He reassures me so effortlessly. Sometimes I also ask for the reassurance because I actually need to hear it, But just him being able to do that without mocking me has left me dumbfounded, to be quite honest, but also left me feeling like, you're okay. I need to get my stuff together because, like sometimes I go into a defense mode, especially when I have to navigate difficult conversation. This isn't something I was aware of, or maybe I was, but at a very minimal scale, especially at work. I always say I've got an ADHD brain. Now, I've never been diagnosed, but when someone says something and I feel like they're not, or they're being slow, or just not getting to the point fast enough, I'll finish their thought, or make assumptions about what it is that they're saying, and to try and finish the thought. And the reason I do that is so that in my head I can already come up with solutions to whatever point they will be raising, or query or critique or whatever, you know what I mean? I don't have to sit through the discomfort. But what I've learned here is that I need to allow the other person to express themselves in their own words and take their own time, which is so uncomfortable. Or give me feedback about what I'm not getting right or doing right, which is just as uncomfortable. And I can't rush through the process. I need to sit through it. And it sucks so much, guys. It sucks so much. And when I feel like I'm not getting it because I keep receiving the same feedback over and over and over again, it gets even more frustrating. And I'm just like, I don't want to deal with this. Because in my head, I'm better than this. In my head, I'm like this most amazing person who is evolved, self-aware and whatnot. So when the feedback I'm getting doesn't match up to that identity, there's been so much cognitive dissonance, which has been really hard to reconcile. And so I think for the most part, I've focused on the dream around, my dream relationship, and not necessarily the work that goes into it. I mean, I think at some point I did kind of figure out that there would be work that goes into maintaining the kind of relationship I want once I have found the love of my life. And this process has actually just been cluing me up about the amount of work that it takes to actually keep the person that you want or maintain the kind of relationship that you want. And that's been really incredibly difficult, regardless of all of that. I am grateful that I've met someone who has shown me so much patience, so much kindness, care, compassion, understanding, and all these other things, who's made sacrifices to make sure that I know that he cares, and I think what I've found also in the past is that when you find someone who excites you in these ways, it's easy to want to protect that. And I think for the most part, I have felt protective over this. But there's no fear inside. In the past, the wanting to protect the relationship has been grounded in fear, of it failing, of it not working out, or, what if this and this and this and that? And it would be a million what ifs that are oftentimes negative. And here, there's so much uncertainty still, even though this guy's amazing. And I am obviously smitten, and I care for him so much. And definitely, guys, want to work. I want things to work with him. I'm ready to fight. Okay, I'm kidding. But if I could, I'd definitely fight for this, right? But I'm also very much aware that things sometimes don't work our way, and I need to be okay with whatever outcome results from, this relationship. And whether it's good or bad, I'm just really grateful that I got a moment to reflect on my own shortcomings within a relationship. Because actually I've realized there's still a lot of work I need to do in making sure that I'm also worthy of the kind of partner I want to have, especially with the emotional stuff. I understand that it may be impossible to work through those when I'm not in a relationship context. So this relationship simulation over the last few weeks has actually exposed those shortcomings and has enabled me to do the work that I need to. But I imagine as time goes on, there's still going to be more things that come to the surface. And the discomfort just never goes away. But I do hope that, I learn the resilience to sit through that discomfort and work through things out, which becomes easier when the other person is there, no matter what. They also prepared to work through the discomfort just as much. They committed to making things work and. So, yeah, I just want to say, I hope in you doing the work, to get the partner that you're looking for, to get the job that you're looking for, the business opportunity that you're looking for, you're also doing the work to make sure that you can actually keep that opportunity when you eventually get it. You work on yourself enough to make sure that you're able to keep it, to maintain it. Otherwise, if you don't have the tools required to maintain that opportunity, you're going to lose it. Because I think the person who's required to attract the thing is quite different from, or maybe the toolkit that you need to attract the thing is quite different from the toolkit you'll need to maintain it, right? In the beginning, I think about how we met over coffee. It was, very sudden, spontaneous, and there was a lot of excitement there and like curiosity and stuff. The stakes were quite low because there were no commitments, no context, nothing. But things shift the more you get to know someone, and the stakes are even higher now. Excuse me, because feelings are getting involved, and now you have to dig even deeper. It's not just about that bubbly, lovely personality that was charming, or like the electricity that just kept things interesting and attractive. There's a lot more now, and there's like, it gets messier. It's easy to get distracted in the everyday life because there's other competing demands as well, right? It's not just you and the person on a bench somewhere drinking dirty chai, but it's trying to find time in between gym schedules, in between running during the week, in between my dog, work, meeting with clients, meeting with friends, family, and all of that, or like not having a phone, because that does take a toll as well. It's trying to make things work in the midst of all that chaos, not to mention the internal stuff, because there's also a lot that we're both carrying. I think he's done a bit of work in shielding me from his own internal world, which I suppose comes from a good place. But in other respects, I see how it can often or sometimes feel like he's not letting me in, right? And obviously for guys, it is hard to do so because they don't always feel like they can share their feelings and emotions or whatever the case is. But sometimes it feels like he's shutting me out. And so in return, I do the same, and that's not sustainable. That doesn't help us. But that's the relationship, you know what I mean? Like, that's the work you have to do long after you've now attracted each other. So yeah, that's what I've been up to the last couple of weeks. Wait, let me have a sip of my wine. And to be honest with you guys, like, I am scared out of my mind. I want to run for the hills most of the time. I want to shut down and just give up. I want to choose the easy way out. But I also know that it's so sweet when he does all these things, He took my car to the car wash the other day. And if you know me, you'll know, like, I hate car-related things. Like, I've bemoaned that so many times. Like, my car will sit here for 2 months without going to the car wash, even though I've already paid the car wash in advance. And the car wash is in the same estate as me. Literally a 1-2 minute drive. But I just hate it so much. And so him offering to do that, it's like, you see me. Guys, I can't tell you how sweet it is to actually have a partner. Like, I've tasted singleness, and like, I've been single for a very long time. I love it. I love my space, and I love doing life on my own terms. But I've also tasted, partnership. Well, it's been a couple of weeks, but like, I got a glimpse into the kind of partnership I want, right? And I think being with him has also made me reflect on some of my favorite moments about being in a relationship previously. And I highly recommend partnership, guys. At your earliest convenience, when you can, do find yourself someone. But obviously, don't settle. Find someone who genuinely likes you. I think this guy really, really does like me. And he really, really does care and want to make my life easy and convenient. The thing I wanted to say earlier was that about the fact that we're both just working earnest corporate jobs, at least for him, is that I know that he doesn't have these crazy loads of monies that are sitting somewhere waiting for me to enter his life so that he can splurge. Every bit of money he spends on me is a sacrifice. He could be using it for something else, and it's that much more valuable to me. So the fact that he wants to do all these things, and does not spare any expense in showing me care and like trying to solve my problems or making my life convenient is so meaningful. And like, I feel so grateful, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Yes, take care of me. I'm a baby. And in return, like, I just want to do so much for him as well, like, I wanna get all domesticated for him. Maybe not like wash dishes and clean the house type of domesticated, but like, I find myself wanting to cook for him. Mostly because I also need to eat, but also because cooking really is my love language. Like, when my friends visit me and come into my space, I love cooking for them. It's not an everyday thing, but I just, I'm just like, I'm out here thinking about cooking for a nigga, like, like, I consider him and I think about, ukile. Uthanda izinto ezingacacanga man uguy like utya isonka and asimfaneli, like, he just eats bread. And I'm like, it really doesn't suit him because he should be eating like proper meals, with meat every day. I eat meat quite a lot. I'm closer also, so I feel like it's a closer thing. So I'm like, and I'm like, I'm developing pick me behavior, And that's all because this guy has been taking care of me in like ways that really matter to me so much. And I want to do the same in return. In the beginning, we kind of had a squabble because he thought I just didn't care. And I was like, but I don't know you enough to show up in ways that matter to you. Yes, I feel care towards you, but I'm not able to demonstrate that care because I don't know what you're like. And we're not in each other's spaces. So it's hard to do that. And he said to me, because like, yeah, but I already trust you. Like, I trusted you to take my car to the car wash. And it's like, yeah, but trust has to do with, what he does, the environment that he's created to make me feel safe enough to trust him. Whereas care or showing care is in what I get to do then in return, in my actions. It's something that you act out. It's not just a feeling. And I was like, okay, I hear you. But to be quite honest, I felt like we didn't know enough about each other to be able to identify the things that would be most meaningful to him. But once we got to learn each other a bit more, then I was able to identify those things. And once we're also in each other's spaces and like seeing each other more, then it's easy to show or to perform those acts that would be meaningful to him and feel like, hey, I do care about this person. You know, I don't even know why I was mentioning this to begin with. Yeah, but like, I think the point I wanted to make there was that I think when you with someone who considers you and like prioritizes you, even though they've got other things that need their attention or that they could be spending their time and resources on, but choose to spare those on you instead, you end up having, pick me behaviors or like become, dare I say, male-centered. So I wouldn't say like, yeah, I guess I've been male-centered, him-centered specifically. Like, I've always known about like I'd be a my man type of person, right? Excuse me. Even when I dated in the past, like I'd always be like, fussy this, fussy that, right? Because he was the man in my life. But that doesn't mean I was absent in my friends' lives. I was also very much present. And I definitely tried to create a balance. Like I had a full life with my friends, even though I was in a relationship. And that's not going to change this time around. But I have spoken on here about how sometimes weekends go and weeks go without having had a conversation with anyone, especially because we work from home too now, which makes it harder to even socialize with people. I can't even count the people around the estate where I live because, yes, they may be right next door to me, but you barely see each other. And I don't think that's normal because humans haven't evolved to not want companionship, to not desire partnership. And so I realized that as we grow older and we form these other relationships, your romantic partner then becomes your priority or like the default human that you interact with often. And I see how I'm suddenly gonna be a my man type of person. And like Between, I'm just warning you guys and I'm saying please don't get tired of me. Even if this doesn't last past 27 days, But yeah, I think it's also easy to do so because of the reasons I mentioned with us living so removed from our communities, then the partner becomes your default community member. And so, yeah, I guess what I'm saying also is it's okay to be like a my man person as long as my man is worth being talked about in that manner, shows up for you in ways that matter. And I must also mention that as someone who tends to romanticize, relationship encounters, it's important that I look at this objectively and like really take stock about the ways in which this person shows up and whether or not they are consistent. They matter, and I'm not just amplifying them for the sake of also having a story to talk about on a podcast or seeming relevant, on social media, because sometimes it is relevant to, soft launch someone or hard launch someone. You know what I mean? But I can honestly say that I haven't had any audience into getting to know him and figuring things out and whatnot. And there hasn't been a desire to also post about it because I really just wanted to experience that for what it was without inviting outside influence, without inviting other people's opinions, because I've done that in the past, and then it starts to change my perception about what that actually is, or now I start to bring other people's opinions and pressures into what this is, as opposed to letting it unfold on its own. But I've seen his actions, and they weren't married on their own. Like, there was no need to hype anything up, because he's honestly just shocked me in every way possible. And the things that he does, and the ways in which he shows up consistently in the everyday life, have been things that I prayed about, like things that I want in a partner, things I've mentioned by name. And yes, I could look at those and be like, oh, but it's a sign from God, this means it's meant to be, yada, yada, yada. And there's certain things that may still not work out, despite all of that, despite these quote unquote signs from God. But for now, I'm just going to sit in this relationship, learn what I need to be better, because I really think it is making me a better person, being able to reflect on what areas of my life still need love, I still need care and attention, and what areas of my life need to be let go. I just need to rest, in the knowledge that I am loved and cared for, and that being enough, without questioning or trying to insert myself or even prove my own worthiness, and so I think in that regard, it certainly is making me better. And I want to reflect on those, make sure that whatever happens with him or another relationship after, I'm in a space where I'm able to receive someone's generosity and kindness, and I'm able to reciprocate without bringing my burden into that relationship. Because actually, I do have a burden. It might not be physical, like having a baby. Oh my goodness, can I also mention that having a dog is such a burden? Trying to navigate dates and everything when you have a dog is not cute. So I highly do not recommend having a child out of wedlock, because Sana, you're gonna be trying to plan and it's awful. But yeah, anyway, let me end this before it gets even longer. But it's really been such an interesting time, and I hope you guys are now caught up into what has been happening in my life. But I really do want you to take the time to reflect on whatever it is. I understand that not everyone who listens to this podcast does so for relationship context. Sometimes it can be for, work purposes, business purposes, whatever pursuit that or venture you're in pursuit of. I hope when it finally arrives, you've done the work to make sure that you can actually keep it, that you are suitable enough to maintain it. You don't just get caught up in the searching and the hard work and the grind that you forget to prepare for when you've got the thing, because really the toolkit that is required to maintain the thing you've been praying for, you've been working hard for, is very different. And that's something I'm really realizing. And another lesson is to actually just be comfortable with the discomfort that comes with unlearning some of those things that you need to unlearn, or allowing the process of being suitable enough to maintain the thing you've prayed for, that you've desired. Allow the discomfort. Yeah, that's it from me today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate each and every one of you for listening, for sharing, for posting about this. I hope to see you at the next episode. And I know I've promised to make this better, but losing my phone really did rock me. And I am going to come back bigger and better. I know I've said that again before, but I really do hope that you stick around. And there's definitely going to be more lessons to learn. And yes, guys, don't be asking me about a boyfriend. Andikabi na boyfriend, even though ndikule, journey. You're from another love of my life. Ningabe ninibuza nge-boyfriend ke, please, I'm still figuring it out. Even if things haven't worked out, you know what I mean? If I'm saying Ansa Jolie like a week from now, run with it. Because that's also been my reality. But guys, I love you all so much. Thank you so much for joining me, and I do appreciate each and every one of you. I hope to see you at the next episode. From me to yours, have a good night. Okay, I love you. Bye.